She was young, ambitious, and full of life. A 21-year-old with dreams of making it big in the world of fashion. Karizma Mebane's smile could light up a room, and her future seemed limitless. But on an ordinary night in North Carolina, everything changed in an instant. A promising life was cut short, leaving a family shattered and a community searching for answers.
A family is now grieving the murder of another loved one after a deadly shooting in Durham. 21-year-old Karizma Mebane was shot and killed on Friday night. Just 2 years ago, her family also buried her brother. WRAL's Durham reporter Sarah Kruger is live now from the Durham County Courthouse with what she's learned about the victim and 2 people charged now. Sarah?
Deborah, I came here to the courthouse to look for any warrants related to this case. What I found in the documents is that each suspect is listed as living at the same address, each with their mother, so it appears the 2 men are brothers. I also found that neither has any prior criminal history.
Tonight, we're exploring a case that left many stunned. The story of a rising star whose journey ended at a gas station, and the 2 brothers accused of taking her life. What led to this tragedy? Was it a random act, or was there something more beneath the surface? As we piece together the events of that fateful night, you'll hear about the heartbreak, the unanswered questions, and the impact that still lingers. Welcome to Psycho Crimes, where we bring you gripping true crime stories from around the globe. We examine infamous cases, mysterious disappearances, and the minds behind shocking crimes. If you're fascinated by real-life mysteries, you're in the right place. Hit like and subscribe for more true crime stories every week. Let us know in the comments, where are you watching from tonight? Now, let's step into the world of Karizma Mebane, a young woman whose story demands to be told and whose memory deserves justice. Long before her name appeared in news headlines, Karizma Mebane was known for her warmth, ambition, and unmistakable presence. Born in 2001 and raised in Burlington, North Carolina, Karizma grew up surrounded by family who cherished her vibrant spirit. From a young age, she stood out, not just for her striking looks, but for her kindness and the way she made others feel seen and valued. Karizma's childhood was filled with laughter, close bonds, and a sense of possibility. She was the kind of person who remembered birthdays, checked in on friends, and always had a smile ready for anyone who needed it. Her family recalls her as someone who brought light into every room, a young woman who was both gentle and fiercely determined. Education was important to Karizma, and she excelled at Eastern Alamance High School, graduating with honors in 2019. Her teachers described her as focused and hardworking, a student who balanced academics with a genuine interest in the world around her. She wasn't just book smart, she was creative, curious, and always looking for ways to express herself. After high school, Karizma began working at Publix grocery store in Cary, North Carolina. There, she quickly became known for her friendly demeanor and strong work ethic. Customers remembered her for her helpfulness and positive attitude, while coworkers admired her reliability and the way she lifted team morale. Even in the routine of daily work, Karizma's personality shone through. But her true passion was fashion and art. Karizma was drawn to the world of modeling, inspired by the idea of expressing herself through style and creativity. She was extremely photogenic, and friends often encouraged her to pursue her dreams in front of the camera. For Karizma, modeling wasn't just about appearance, it was about confidence, self-expression, and the joy of creating something beautiful. She spent hours studying poses, experimenting with makeup, and building a portfolio that reflected her unique sense of style. Outside of work and her creative pursuits, Karizma enjoyed life's simple pleasures. She loved chicken wings and fries, sharing meals with friends, and making memories with her family. Her laughter was infectious, and her ability to find joy in everyday moments made her a beloved presence in the lives of those around her. Family was at the center of everything Karizma did. She shared a particularly close bond with her stepsister, Chanakwa Spencer. The 2 considered each other true sisters, supporting one another through life's ups and downs. Their relationship was built on trust, loyalty, and a deep sense of understanding. Karizma's family described her as generous, always willing to help, and someone who brought happiness wherever she went. At just 21, Karizma's life was still unfolding. She had dreams, plans, and a future that seemed wide open. There is no public record of her having children. Her focus was on building her career, nurturing her relationships, and exploring the possibilities ahead. Those who knew her best remember a young woman who was just beginning to step into her own, full of hope and determination. Karizma Mebane's story began with promise, a life marked by ambition, creativity, and love. No one could have imagined how abruptly that story would end, or the pain her absence would leave behind. For Karizma Mebane, family was more than just a word, it was the foundation of her life. She grew up surrounded by relatives who valued togetherness, support, and unconditional love. Among all her relationships, none was more significant than the bond she shared with her stepsister, Chanakwa Spencer. Though not related by blood, the two never saw themselves as anything less than true sisters. Their connection was built on shared experiences, late-night conversations, and a loyalty that ran deep. They celebrated each other's victories and leaned on one another during difficult times, creating a sisterhood that was both rare and unbreakable. Karizma's family often described her as the heart of their home. She was the one who remembered to check in, who offered a listening ear, and who brought laughter to family gatherings. Her generous spirit was evident in the way she cared for those around her, always willing to lend a hand or offer encouragement. Whether it was helping a sibling with homework or supporting a friend through a tough day, Karizma's kindness left a lasting impression. But beneath the surface of this close-knit family, there was a lingering pain, a wound that had not yet healed. Just 2 years before Karizma's death, her brother Tariq Gaddies was murdered in Alamance County. The loss of Tariq was a devastating blow, one that sent shock and grief rippling through the family. They struggled to make sense of his absence, grappling with the reality that someone they loved had been taken from them so suddenly and violently. The pain of losing Tariq was compounded by the lack of closure. Questions remained unanswered, and the family was left to navigate their grief while trying to support one another. Karizma, in particular, felt the weight of her brother's loss. She leaned on Chanakwa and the rest of her family, drawing strength from their shared memories and the love that bound them together. The experience changed her, deepening her empathy and her understanding of how fragile life could be. Despite the tragedy, Karizma's family did their best to move forward. They honored Tariq's memory by holding on to the moments they had shared and by supporting each other through the darkest days. Karizma became even more determined to live fully, to pursue her dreams, and to cherish the people she loved. Her resilience was a testament to her character, a refusal to let grief define her, even as it shaped her perspective. The family's journey through loss brought them closer, but it also left them vulnerable. When Karizma's life was cut short, the pain was almost unbearable. To lose 2 children to violence in such a short span felt like an unimaginable injustice. Chanakwa, who had already mourned the loss of one sibling, now faced the heartbreak of saying goodbye to another.
Very genuine, the purest heart. No, she was out living her life. She's young. She was just enjoying life at the time.
Spencer says the family was still recovering from the loss of their brother, Tariq Gaddies, who was murdered in Alamance County in 2020.
A situation where he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And now I have my sister Karizma taken due to gun violence. And I feel like the same situation. She was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I am, as their sister, hoping to start a nonprofit group that helps people, because in my community, so many people have lost their loved ones to gun violence. It's everywhere. It's not just Durham. It's everywhere.
The family's grief was raw and overwhelming, a reminder of how quickly everything could change. In the aftermath, Karizma's loved ones clung to the memories that defined her life, the laughter, the kindness, the dreams she chased. They spoke of her not just as a victim, but as a young woman who brought joy and hope to those around her. The loss of both Karizma and Tariq became a rallying point for the family, fueling a desire to seek justice and to support others facing similar tragedies. Karizma's story is inseparable from the family who loved her and the pain they endured. Their resilience in the face of repeated loss speaks to the strength of their bond and the enduring impact of her life. October 7, 2022, began like any other day for Karizma Mebane. She was in Durham, North Carolina, a city she knew well, a place where she should have been safe. But as night fell, a series of events unfolded that would forever change the lives of her family and community. Karizma found herself near a mini-mart on Cheek Road, not far from the heart of Durham. It was a typical evening, the kind of night when people stop for snacks or fuel, never expecting anything out of the ordinary. For Karizma, it was supposed to be just another stop, another moment in a life filled with plans and possibilities. But in a matter of moments, everything changed. Shots rang out, shattering the quiet and sending shock and confusion through the area. Karizma was struck and fatally wounded. The suddenness of the violence left witnesses stunned and scrambling for answers. In the chaos, the reality of what had happened began to sink in. A young woman, full of promise, had lost her life in a place that should have been safe. Police responded quickly to the scene, working to secure the area and gather information. The investigation moved rapidly, and within 24 hours, authorities had identified and arrested two suspects, Jaquez Reddick, 23, and Tracy Crawford, 18, both residents of Durham. The two men were brothers, living together with their mother at the same address. What made the case even more confounding was that neither had any prior criminal history. There were no warning signs, no history of violence that might have predicted such a tragedy.
I came here to the courthouse to look for any warrants related to this case. What I found in the documents is that each suspect is listed as living at the same address, each with their mother, so it appears the two men are brothers. I also found that neither has any prior criminal history.
As news of the arrests spread, the community was left grappling with disbelief. How could two young men, with no record of trouble, be involved in such a senseless act? The motive behind the shooting was not immediately clear. Police indicated that the incident did not appear to be random, but details remained scarce. For Karizma's family, the lack of answers only deepened their pain. Her stepsister, Chanakwa, would later say that Karizma was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, a victim of circumstances beyond her control. The randomness of the violence was especially hard to accept. Just as with her brother Tariq's death 2 years earlier, Karizma's murder seemed to defy explanation. There was no comfort to be found in logic or reason. The family was left to mourn not only the loss of a beloved daughter and sister but also the sense of safety that had been shattered. In the days that followed, the community came together to remember Karizma. Friends and family gathered to share stories, to grieve, and to support one another. The pain was raw, but so was the determination to honor her memory. For those who knew her, Karizma was more than just a name in a headline. She was a vibrant, loving person whose absence would be felt for years to come. The investigation continued, with authorities working to piece together the events of that night and to understand what led to such a devastating outcome. For Karizma's loved ones, the search for justice became a way to cope with their grief, a way to ensure that her story would not be forgotten. The night of October 7th marked the end of Karizma Mebane's life, but it also marked the beginning of a new chapter for her family, a chapter defined by loss, resilience, and the pursuit of answers in the face of tragedy. The news of Karizma Mebane's death sent a wave of sorrow through her family and the Durham community. For those closest to her, the loss was immediate and deeply personal. A young woman, just beginning to carve out her place in the world, was gone. The pain was compounded by the fact that her family had already endured the trauma of losing Tariq, Karizma's brother, to violence just 2 years earlier. Now, the same family was forced to confront another unimaginable tragedy. Karizma's stepsister, Chanakwa Spencer, became the voice of the family in the days following the shooting. She spoke candidly about the overwhelming grief that had settled over their home. Losing 2 siblings to violence in such a short span was almost too much to bear. Chanakwa described Karizma as someone who was just starting to enjoy her life, a young woman with dreams and plans that would never be realized. The sense of injustice was sharp, and the questions, why Karizma, why now, why this way, echoed through every conversation. The family's grief was not theirs alone. Friends, neighbors, and even strangers reached out to offer condolences and support. Many in the community saw Karizma's story as a reflection of a larger problem, one that touched too many families in Durham and beyond. Vigils were held, candles were lit, and memories were shared. People spoke of Karizma's kindness, her laughter, and the way she made others feel welcome. Her absence was felt not just in her family's home, but in the hearts of everyone who had known her. As the days passed, the family's sorrow began to transform into something else, a determination to make sure Karizma's life, and her loss, would not be forgotten. Chanakwa, in particular, felt a calling to turn her pain into purpose. She spoke publicly about her intention to start a non-profit organization dedicated to supporting others who had lost loved ones to gun violence.
I am, as their sister, hoping to start a non-profit group that helps people, because in my community, so many people have lost their loved ones to gun violence. It's everywhere. It's not just Durham. It's everywhere.
For her, it was a way to honor Karizma's memory and to help others navigate the same kind of grief that had changed her own life forever. The community's response was a testament to the impact Karizma had made in her short life. People came together not just to mourn, but to demand change. Conversations about safety, justice, and the need for stronger support systems grew louder. Local leaders and organizations reached out to the family, offering resources and a platform to share their story. The tragedy became a rallying point, a moment that brought people together in the hope of preventing similar losses in the future. For Karizma's family, the journey through grief was far from over. The pain of her absence lingered in everyday moments, the empty seat at the dinner table, the silence where her laughter used to be. But in the midst of their sorrow, they found strength in each other and in the community that stood beside them. They clung to the memories that defined Karizma's life, determined to keep her spirit alive through acts of kindness, advocacy, and remembrance. Karizma Mebane's story became more than just a headline. It became a call to action, a reminder of the lives behind the statistics and the families forever changed by violence. Her family's resilience and the community's support offered a glimmer of hope in the face of heartbreak. Karizma Mebane's murder is not an isolated incident. Durham, like many cities across the United States, has been grappling with a persistent and troubling rise in gun violence. This increase has been particularly noticeable since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, exacerbating existing challenges and creating new ones. The statistics paint a stark picture. Homicides in the United States saw a significant increase, around 28%, from 2019 to 2020, with gun-related deaths accounting for a large portion of this surge. The impact of this violence is disproportionately felt in communities already struggling with poverty, limited access to resources, and systemic inequalities. Durham is no exception. The consequences of gun violence extend far beyond the immediate victims and their families. They ripple through entire neighborhoods, creating a climate of fear, eroding trust, and hindering economic development. Children who grow up in areas with high rates of violence are more likely to experience trauma, struggle in school, and become involved in the criminal justice system themselves. The cycle is difficult to break, and it requires a multifaceted approach to address the root causes. In response to this challenge, local leaders and organizations in Durham have implemented a range of violence prevention initiatives. These efforts recognize that gun violence is not simply a matter of law enforcement. It is a complex public health issue that demands a collaborative, community-driven response. One such initiative is the Durham County Gun Safety Team, established in 1999. This team focuses on education and awareness about gun safety, providing gun locks to residents and promoting safe storage practices to prevent unauthorized access to firearms. The team works in partnership with various community organizations to reach a wide audience and to address the underlying factors that contribute to violence. Another notable effort is the Durham Impact Project, a collaboration between the Duke Orthopedic Trauma Section and the City of Durham. This community-based initiative aims to prevent gun violence through education, outreach, and support for victims and their families. The project recognizes the importance of building trust within the community and providing resources to those most affected by violence. These initiatives, along with others, represent a commitment to addressing gun violence in Durham through evidence-based strategies and community engagement. They acknowledge that there is no single solution to this complex problem, and that progress requires a sustained, coordinated effort from all stakeholders. Karizma Mebane's story serves as a reminder of the human cost of gun violence and the urgent need for continued action. While statistics and data provide important context, it is the individual stories, the lives cut short, the families left grieving, that underscore the importance of finding solutions and creating safer communities for all. The murder of Karizma Mebane underscores the urgent need for comprehensive strategies to prevent gun violence. Experts and community advocates emphasize that such violence is not inevitable. It can be prevented through coordinated, evidence-based approaches. One of the most promising strategies is community-based violence intervention, CVI, programs. These programs connect individuals at risk of committing or experiencing violence with trusted community members, often those who have lived through similar experiences. CVI programs have been shown to reduce gun violence by as much as 60% in some communities. By building relationships, providing support, and offering alternatives to violence, these programs can make a significant difference in high-risk areas. Hospital-based violence intervention is another critical approach. Engaging victims of violence in trauma centers and emergency rooms can help prevent retaliation and provide immediate support and resources to survivors and their families. These programs recognize that the aftermath of violence is a crucial window of opportunity to intervene and prevent future incidents. Violence interrupters and street outreach play a vital role in mediating conflicts before they escalate. Trained interventionists, often from the affected communities, work to de-escalate tensions and connect individuals with services that address underlying issues such as poverty, trauma, and lack of opportunity. By being present in the community and building relationships with those at risk, these interventionists can help prevent violence before it occurs. Environmental design and community spaces also play a role in preventing violence. Improving physical conditions in neighborhoods, such as cleaning vacant lots and creating safe public spaces, can reduce opportunities for violence and foster positive social interactions. By creating environments that are conducive to community building and social cohesion, cities can reduce the likelihood of violence. Economic and household security are essential components of any comprehensive violence prevention strategy. Strengthening economic supports for families, such as housing assistance, childcare subsidies, and livable wages, can reduce stress and improve outcomes, thereby lowering the risk of violence. When families have access to the resources they need to thrive, they are less likely to be affected by violence. Safe firearm storage is a simple but effective way to prevent unauthorized access to firearms, especially by children or individuals at risk of harming themselves or others. Promoting and facilitating the secure storage of firearms can help reduce accidental shootings, suicides, and other forms of gun violence. In addition to these prevention strategies, it is essential to provide community healing and support in the aftermath of gun violence. Programs like the Violence Recovery Program at Duke University Hospital provide care and assistance to those affected, helping them navigate trauma and rebuild their lives. By offering counseling, support groups, and other resources, these programs can help individuals and communities heal from the wounds of violence. Finally, empowering survivors and advocates is crucial for driving change. Karizma's stepsister's desire to start a non-profit organization reflects a broader movement among survivors and advocates to transform personal tragedy into collective action. By sharing their stories and supporting one another, survivors can drive change and build safer, more resilient communities. Preventing gun violence requires a multifaceted approach that addresses the root causes of violence, supports those at risk, and empowers communities to create safer environments for all. Karizma Mebane's life was a testament to hope, ambition, and the enduring strength of family bonds. Her story is not just about loss, but about the dreams she carried, the love she shared, and the impact she had on everyone around her. The pain of her absence is felt deeply by her family, friends, and community, a pain made even sharper by the knowledge that her brother Tariq was taken in a similar way, just 2 years before. The tragedy of Karizma's death is a stark reminder of the human cost of gun violence. Behind every headline is a person with dreams, relationships, and a future that will never be realized. For Karizma's family, the journey through grief has been long and difficult, but it has also been marked by resilience and a determination to honor her memory. Their willingness to speak out, to support others, and to seek change is a powerful example of how even the deepest pain can be transformed into purpose. As we reflect on Karizma's story, there are important lessons to carry forward. First, every life lost to violence is a call to action, a reminder that change is possible and that communities can come together to prevent future tragedies. The efforts of local organizations, advocates, and survivors show that progress is within reach when people work together with compassion and determination. Second, the importance of support, both for those directly affected by violence and for the broader community, cannot be overstated. Healing is a collective process, and it requires empathy, resources, and a commitment to justice. By standing with survivors, sharing their stories, and advocating for evidence-based solutions, we can help build safer, more resilient communities. Finally, Karizma's story challenges us to look beyond the statistics and see the individuals at the heart of every tragedy. Her life was filled with promise, her spirit was generous, and her memory deserves to be honored not just in words, but in action. If Karizma's story has moved you, consider what you can do in your own community to support those affected by violence. Whether it's volunteering, raising awareness, or simply reaching out to someone in need, every action counts. Thank you for joining us on Psychocrimes, where we bring you the stories that matter, the stories that remind us of the value of every life and the importance of seeking justice. If you found this story meaningful, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you experienced something similar in your community? What changes do you think are needed to make our world safer? Your voice matters. Together, we can honor Karizma's memory and work toward a future where tragedies like this are no longer commonplace.